drive resilience, frugality, adaptability, simplicity, inclusivity, empathy and passion to make innovations bring about a difference to our people and communities in our country, if we approach it that way. And while I was, as I said in my introduction, I used to be the London Tech Incubator, and we had an approach that said we go to the bottom of the pyramid, so we go to the regions and we work with the people there, look at the problems they have, what challenges they have, and you see opportunities there, and then you use frugal innovation to try and come up with solutions that are going to be owned by them. They'll be a part of the whole process, and then you can scale them up, because our idea was to scale up startups and entrepreneurs to help solve these challenges, but using technology as a tool, as an enabler, more than a tool, okay? So if it's an enabler, the startups use it as a tool to create something, but more so it's an enabler to allow to do things in agriculture, for the fishing, for health, and so forth. So with that introduction, let's have a discussion. And before we start the discussion, I'd like the panelists here, each one has got 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then we'll go into the panel discussion that we want to discuss. I'll start. Madame, you're very lucky. Feel like a queen among the kings sitting beside you. So in that sense, I'll start with you. And then.
Good morning. My name is Zainab Abdallah Issa. I am the District Commissioner of Pangani, Tanga, and I happen to be the youngest DC in the country. I was appointed when I was 23, so right now I'm 26 because I've been serving for 3 years there in Pangani. Before the appointment, I was the chairman of the Federation of Higher Learning Institutions in Tanzania. I was also a youth activist representing UN and different international forums and organizations. I also worked with UN Women, supporting different initiatives of women across the world. So I'm well equipped, composed, prominent, promising, and I see the future of young leaders in our country. Thank you.
Right, yes.
All right, my name is Peter Noringa. I'm based at the Institute of Social Studies in The Hague, and I'm a professor of private sector and development. And one of the things that I do is frugal innovation. And I did the keynote yesterday, so I guess most people have seen my face before. To briefly connect to what George said, this Jugaad innovation in India, that's also how I got to this topic, because most of my work 10, 20 years back was in India. And in India, there is a long-standing debate between sort of the scientists in their R&D labs on the one hand, and India is quite big among the developing countries in terms of developing its own science and technology agenda. And at the same time, separate from that, this sort of grassroots informal innovations taking place in the villages. And that debate has started this idea around what indeed in Hindi is called Jugaad innovation, which is this improvisation at the local level. And I think the challenge is to bring these two worlds better together, in a sense, so that the informal ingenuity and the more formalized science and technology do not remain separate, but become more connected. So sorry for sneaking in a little bit content while just introducing ourselves.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name is Edwin Bruno. I'm the CEO and founder at SmartCode. We have been in the market for 5 years, but also we started as a startup, and of course, George Mulamula was our godfather and accepted our idea, so we are coming from the ecosystem to say so. For these 5 years, we have been privileged to work with multiple companies in terms of international company and local company, and our key focus is more on software development, and advertising, at which we take concept in helping company so that they can sell their product to customers. That is to say, we do a lot of research from the customer base in terms of what they need, and then trying to explain to the corporate on what kind of a solution they should do and simplify the means of communication so that they can sell their product. But also, due to the way things work, now we have also started an innovation lab called Smart Lab, at which we are working closely with education institution and especially university to try to connect them with the corporate and of course the startup as well, so that they can get a chance to put their products into the market. But rather than starting from the ground, they can actually do this some sort of partnership so that it can use as a valued added service to this corporate, and making sure that in terms of how they can use existing customer to push their product. But in order also to complete the ecosystem in terms of how the startup and the innovation work, right now I'm taking a special program at Harvard University, at which I'm focusing more on private equity and venture capitalists. So as to see in terms of the startups which we are helping, and also on the business which we are, on how can we partner and maybe sell part of the companies, and try to understand the whole ecosystem of the financials. But the main important thing, of course, for the topic of today is, according to our emerging market, which they call in terms of Tanzanian and African market, how can we take the biggest product and trying to cater them and simplify to work for our local market, at which it can deliver the same thing, but at the end of the day, trying to find an opportunity to do more business around that. Thank you.
I thought you were going to give the answer. Now you're giving us questions. Okay, fine.
Thanks, George. Good morning, everybody. It's definitely going to be a hard act to follow after the youngest leader, Prof, and of course, the entrepreneurs. But in a brief, my name's Jones Mbrusha. I'm an ecosystem builder for the last 11 or so years. I've been focusing on how do we set up, promote, especially the tech innovation ecosystem in the country, and at various roles, including academias, corporates, startups themselves. We set up the first private innovation hub funded by Google in Tanzania, and the latest role is with the Innovation Hub 255, which is a social innovation and entrepreneurship hub. Of course, as George said, we are also focusing on technology and enabler. And with this, we work closely with policymakers and the government and the likes. And I would love to have a conversation after the panel on how potentially we could do things together. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charles Matondane. I am a founder and CEO of Nefrids Africa. We are in existence now for about 3 years, almost 3.5 years. We are a financial technology company focusing on mainly insurance technology, on how we don't exactly sell our product, our technology, but we actually create products that can be used by some of our partners, banks, insurance companies, mobile operators, and we work with different partners to see how they can actually deliver value in terms of products to their customers. When it comes to frugal innovation, I think that's where we started. Before I founded Nefrids, I was working very, very closely with actually George Mulamula at while I was still heading product development for Vodacom. I was working with George Mulamula with the Costec and Buni Hub and those to see how exactly we can work with different companies, different startups to actually work with Vodacom or and other corporate companies. At the same time, Nefrids started with actually with Hub 255. We actually started when we were like only 2 people. Now we are 11. We've graduated from a hub to our own office now about a year ago. So we are growing, and we started through working with different partners, with Costec very closely. I've worked with Edwin as well as we were growing up. So this is a discussion that we continue to discuss every day in terms of how do we actually continue to reach our customers, how do we continue to improve our partnership with different companies, with different corporate entities, and how do we improve how technology is actually used by different segments of people across Tanzania. We are also quite lucky that we've also gotten into Kenya as well. So we've launched our services in Kenya in June last year. So whatever that we are doing over here, we are trying to understand how can we actually implement similar solutions by understanding what exactly the market in Kenya is, how the customer in Kenya is, and what type of partners can we work with in Kenya to actually deliver the same products or similar products in that market as well.
All right. Thank you very much. For those of us who were here yesterday, we listened to Her Excellency, the Vice President's speech, and one of the anecdotes that came out of that was, other participants also, was youth and frugal innovation. And there was a lady from the bank who said that there was a missing link between what is being done in innovation and how youth can be also integrated into the whole process, and how do we support them, the youth being the future of the country. So with that in mind, I'd like you to, all of you, to answer this question that has been boiling. And the question is, how can Tanzania create and nurture LED, local LED coalitions to take advantage of global value chains to promote frugal innovation? In other words, what can feasibly be done to stimulate creativity and innovation in the short to medium term, keeping in mind youth being the future of our nation? So we'll start here and then